We're back on our Endura E21 high performance resin chip system. Yesterday what we did is we used a pigmented version of the E21 in a light gray color, and on this panel what I did is I broadcast smoke chips, the color chips. It's basically what we would consider a medium broadcast. Over here we broadcast the chips to refusal, meaning I threw and I threw and I threw until we couldn't, you couldn't see any of the background epoxy colors. So it's 100% coverage. Completely two different looks. What happens though on some of them is the chips will land and stick kind of up in the air and make it brittle. So what we want to do is take a 120 grit screen and go over it. Doesn't take a lot of time. It just literally just on and off real fast. On something like this where there's just a medium to a light broadcast, you could just actually take a floor scraper across it and then you're ready to go to the next step. So on both systems there's a couple of sealer options. On this you can use P72 basically, which is the high performance polyaspartic sealer. On this one I'd probably recommend going with a body coat of E10, which is the 100% solids epoxy, and then followed with the polyaspartic P72. If you went just straight P72 and didn't use the E10 build of epoxy, basically you wouldn't have a flat and smooth surface. So I would recommend on the heavy broadcast, go ahead and put the prime coat of E10 followed by the P72. All right, so we're just going to demonstrate really quick on sanding screen here. Go back this way because the board is going to want to spin. Just that quick. So now it's time to vacuum. We'll get that residual off of there. Once it's all vacuumed up and clean, we could go to our next step and we could apply, like I just talked about on this one, E10. Once that was dry, followed by E72. P72, sorry, and then over here we can just apply straight P72. All right, we're getting ready to apply our top coat. We're going to be applying P72. If you remember on the previous take, what we did is we sanded it. I mentioned use a 120 grit screen. Actually, the screen that we used was a 100 grit screen, and I have to tell you, it is really beautiful. It really flattened it out. Where I had mentioned before about using a grout coat of the E10, believe it or not, this is so flat now because we used a 100 grit screen, we could probably get by with the P72. So in any event, for this demonstration, we're gonna clear coat both of these panels with P72. As a recap, P72 is a 1 part A to 1 part B. This is a high solids polyaspartic sealer. Why would you use this as opposed to just leaving it like that? Epoxies, they dry very brittle and rigid, and it thus makes them very prone to scuffing and or scratching, where these polyaspartics, the P72, is phenomenal in terms of abrasion resistance, scuff and scratch resistant. So we've already delinted our lint-free roller with the tape that you remember. So now it's time to mix, and then we're going to finish these two panels off for the day. With our application of P72. Just wanted to point out that on a large project, 18-inch rollers really lay out your top coats and your clear coats much better than the 9-inch. These are just small sample boards, so we're going to go ahead and use our traditional 9-inch rollers. But the 18 is really great for covering large areas and laying it down flat. Now, up until this point, we've been pretty much just taking our prime coats and our body coats and just dumping them onto the surface. Here is our topper, our clear coat. So it's a good idea to go ahead and just dip and roll. You don't want to just dump a big glob on there. Sometimes if you don't have sufficient lighting when you're sealing, or another set of eyes watching you, it's real easy to miss something. So we just want to put a nice uniform coat on here. And I'll tell you, when this P72 hits those chips, it really brings the color out. It's nice. So you've heard me use the term on several of the videos, back roll. The logic is this. On a larger project, one person is rolling in this direction, while one other person comes back and back rolls this way, perpendicular to the first pass. Now, while we're on the subject of rolling, let's talk about roller techniques. Oftentimes, now it's not as noticeable with all these chips or certainly a quartz broadcast, but if we're trying to clear coat a finished, say, Lumiere metallic epoxy project or something that we did a dye on, oftentimes people will say, hey, we're getting roller lines. And it's not just about pushing this roller out and back. It's actually, this is my leading edge here, my inner edge. I lightly twist the handle as to feather edge the outside. Now I'm over dramatizing right there. So just by putting a little bit of pressure here, it feather edges this way. And my logic is I want to keep a wave of material coming this way with me, as opposed to rolling it with the base of the roller this way, because it's hard to take pressure off of that. So believe it or not, the direction of your roller, and you can see my thumb right here, I'm actually just twisting it, and it feather edges out here, so you're much less likely to get those unwanted roller lines. So there is technique involved when rolling. And now the back roll. One other tip I learned from a person that was actually in the coatings business for years and years is you will learn how much coating or clear coat to load up on your roller cover, and you'll learn what the coverage will be for one roll. So here's what I'm talking about. I'm going to load this up. I'm going to put it in the middle of the panel. I'm going to go one up and one back, and that's about the appropriate amount that you're wanting. I do see a lot of people make the mistake of over rolling. So let's just do this whole panel in this direction. So once again, one up, one back. That's just about the perfect amount of P72 that we want. So this board is 5 feet long. So now that our roller cover is fully saturated, the midpoint, back, and then now when I come back over to hit it with the back roll, we've got a nice uniform layer of our P72. That quick and that simple. That'll take a couple hours. It'll be tack free, and you'll be ready to open that for traffic and have a really strong, durable surface on this color chip system. Every project has its own unique qualities. For this reason, that's why it's important to consult your Duraamen representative for project-specific questions. Now, you may have questions on mix ratios, which is certainly listed on their website, or other project concerns such as moisture. Now the industry standard is 3 pounds of moisture vapor transmission in 1,000 square feet in a 24-hour window. Now Duraamen has a complete line of moisture related products. For example, Purdue MVT will take 8-pound readings, and it'll cover up to 8 pounds in 1,000 square feet in 24 hours. Purdue MVT Plus will get you 18 to 20 pounds of moisture vapor transmission and bring it down to within acceptable tolerances. And also a great system to consider is Purdue UMC, which is the urethane modified concrete, which is good up to 18 to 20 pounds of moisture vapor transmission.